Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's kind of the month of February, builds you up to Valentine's Day. That's when they all have all the trinkets out and candies, shoving it down our throats that you have to be loved by somebody today.
On AM 560.
Okay.
The only reason for this day is for me to take and not give. I want chocolate.
Chocolate! The Answer.
Yeah, lovely Valentine's Day sentiment from our listener, one of our listeners, Dennis in Crystal Lake there.
Did you send Dennis chocolate? Because that's all he wants. I want chocolate.
I heard loud and clear. We also heard loud and clear Jussie Smollett break his silence this morning on Good Morning America in one of those softball interviews Robin Roberts has become famous for.
Well, she looked very concerned, because are you okay, Jussie? Is it going to be okay? But the first question she asked was, what happened that night?
What happened that night, Jussie?
When I landed in Chicago, and Frank Gatson, who's like my uncle, and he's also my creative director, and he picked me up. And then we got back to the apartment. There was no food. And so I went out to Walgreens thinking that they were 24 hours and to have a smoke. Walgreens was closed. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'm going to run to Subway, which was across the street, and I'm going to get a salad. Do you want anything? I went to the Subway and got the order. During that time, I texted my manager thinking that he was still in Australia because he was on an Australian tour with one of his other clients. And I said, yo, call me when you can. He called me immediately. And while he was on the phone, I heard, as I was crossing the intersection, I heard Empire. And I don't answer to Empire. My name ain't Empire. And I didn't answer. I kept walking, and then I heard Empire. So I turned around and I said, did you just say to me? And I see the attacker masked, and he said, this MAGA country punches me right in the face. So I punched his back. And then we started tussling. It was very icy, and we ended up tussling by the stairs. Fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back. And then it just stopped. And they ran off. And I saw where they ran. And the phone was in my pocket, but it had fallen out. And it was sitting there. And my manager was still on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I said, Brandon. And he's like, what's going on? And I said, I was just jumped. And then I looked down and I see that there's a rope around my neck, which I hadn't.
You hadn't noticed it before?
No,
you didn't
because
see?
It was so fast. You know what I'm saying? It was so fast.
How long did this all
It felt like minutes, but it probably was like 30 seconds, honestly. I can't tell you, honestly. I noticed the rope around my neck, and I started screaming. And I said, there's a rope around my neck.
So, I guess a couple of things just from that statement. One is, I wonder if police have any information about injuries to his hands, scrapes on his hands, because he said, and this I hadn't heard this before,
that he punched back. I never knew that before.
Punched back. So if he was in an altercation with two guys and then he threw a punch as well and landed it, that's the way he sounded. I wonder if there's anything on his hands.
There
that
almost
would
have to be.
Well, maybe.
So he first refused Chicago police to come over and help him.
Well, one other thing. The other thing is they just ran off. You're in a fight. You're fighting back. A second guy's kicking you, and then they just run off. Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea why they would just run off if they're in this scrape with you? Why would they just then stop and run off?
And not finish him? I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to send a message. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I would be interested to hear his perspective on that question.
Yeah, he couldn't. It's wintertime in Chicago. People walk around with ski masks. He couldn't say what race they were. Mm-hmm. He thought that they were the guys in the surveillance video. We've played that earlier for you. But this is what happened with what was the interaction like with Chicago police?
So during that time before they came, it took them about maybe half hour to come. And during that time, I was looking at myself, just like checking myself out. I saw the bruise on my neck, like the little, the rope burn around my neck. And then I smelled bleach. I know the smell of bleach. And I saw on my sweatshirt, it had marks on it, like spots on it, when you have a bad bleach job. So then I was like, there's bleach on me too. So when the police came, I kept the clothes on. I kept the rope.
So you had the rope on the entire time?
I mean, it wasn't like wrapped around, but yeah, it was around because I wanted them to see. I wanted them to see what this was. I told them what happened, everything. I also asked them to turn their body cams off because they were trying to stay in the hallway. And I was like, please just come in. Like, I don't want a big scene with my neighbors and with like the second round of police officers. I went down to where it happened and I walked them through exactly what happened. And I looked up and I saw that there was a camera directly on the light post that is in the intersection. So I'm like, there it is. And then the detective told me that the camera inside of the casing was facing north.
So he doesn't remember, didn't realize it at the time, either that rope was being put around his neck or that he was being doused with bleach.
He claimed did you hear him? He said he had a rope burn on his neck.
Right.
But he doesn't remember. He just looked down and there was a rope. If somebody was pulling you with a rope, I would remember that. It's like all of a sudden, poof, I look down. Oh, wait, I have a rope around my neck. But it's not tied tight because he said that.
But it was tight enough to create a burn.
And listen to this. This is racial. This whole incident is racial. Listen.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're going to Subway. Sub-Zero.
Subway is open 24 hours. Like, people kill me when they say things like that because it's like Subway is open 24 hours for a reason. So that when you're hungry at night and you ain't got no food, you go to Subway. The camera facing north. Okay. How is that my issue? It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black,
right.
I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot more. And that says a lot about the place that we are in our country right now.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Jussie.
I
I think it's the specifics and your actions since the alleged attack occurred. That's the issue. Somebody is indifferent to somebody being beaten up, and that was allegedly racially motivated or motivated because he's gay. I mean, I don't know how anybody would know that. I don't even know how anybody would know who this guy is. A couple of white guys with MAGA hats, big Trump supporters, and big Empire fans. Okay, it's possible.
I don't think there's one that exists.
I'd like to see the Venn diagram. That's all.
Okay.
I'd like to see the Venn diagram of Empire watchers and Trump loyalists, or racist Trump supporter Empire watchers. I'd like to see that Venn. But it's cheap. It's cheap for him to bring race into it. The reason he's doing this interview is because there are doubters. If this was marginal, if this was proceeding in a sensible way that wasn't prompting questions, including, by the way, from Chicago police saying, for example, as we reported yesterday, the redacted phone log you gave us can't support a criminal investigation. We need more. So that's being uncooperative. So if there weren't issues like that, then we wouldn't be raising the questions that have been raised, so much so that you felt the need to go on to Good Morning America to have your one-sided say to try to, essentially buttress your claims.
Well, Robin Roberts asked him about his phone, why he didn't initially hand it over, and then these heavily redacted phone records that don't prove at all that he was on the phone with his manager at the time of the attack that he just said happened.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that.
Why?
Because I have private pictures and videos and numbers. My partner's number, my family's number, my castmates' number, my friends' numbers, my private emails, my private songs, my private voice memos. I don't know what that's going to be to hand over my phone for. And honestly, by then, inaccurate, false statements had already been put out there.
Well, so what? So inaccurate, false statements have been put out there, so correct the record. I mean, the point is not to, win the narrative competition in the public arena. It's to help police solve this crime and find the attackers, isn't it?
All he could have done is gone to recent phones and showed them that, look, at this time at 2 a.m.-ish, I was on the phone with my manager. Our phone conversation lasted 12 minutes. That's all he had to do. He wouldn't even do that.
Yeah, he could.
He wouldn't hand over his phone, and then the phone records that he handed over does not prove that he was on the phone with his manager at the time of the alleged attack.
He could.
Bottom line.
You could have somebody dupe it or dupe portions of the data on the phone. I mean, it's not that onerous. Fine, I get it. Whatever. Let's say, hey, he's skeptical of police. He's a black gay man. He's bought into the Black Lives Matter rhetoric. Let's just say, for example,
he hates President Trump. Have you seen his tweets?
Whatever. So I'm just saying, plausible. Trying to present something that's plausible from his perspective. Let's say he's takes the perspective that police are antagonists; they're not his friends, and so he's reticent to turn it all over. Okay, fine, but then don't claim this is racially motivated when people are asking questions. They'd be asking questions regardless who the attackers are, because by the way, one of the questions is with respect to the attackers. I mean, there are people. Let's find the alleged attackers. Why isn't there on video? People are asking that question not because of the prospective race of whoever allegedly attacked him, because where are the attackers? Let's get them. Let's get them if they're out there.
Yeah.
And let's help police get them.
Right, but the one surveillance video that they released, they have not received one tip from anyone.
Except that one woman who, provided that sort of eyewitness account of
TMZ
of the guy she saw standing outside when she walked her dog, but that hasn't led anywhere.
Yeah, because it didn't happen. They checked surveillance video, and there was no two guys standing out there wearing camel dress shoes.
And by the way, there's a lot of residents in Streeterville, as interviewed by the New York Post, my neighborhood, by the way, who don't believe his story. And it's not because they're Trump loyalists or racists.
No,
they just don't buy it.
Muslims, they interviewed African Americans, and none of them believe him.
John in Woodridge, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, this guy's a good actor, man. He's just playing good acting, and I think the manager set all this up for him, so there's good publicity. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, John. Manager or creative director?
Well, he has his creative director, Fred, who's like an uncle to him, and then his manager is the one whose apartment he was in when police arrived.
Phil in Deerfield.
Good morning, guys. Can you give me an example of a case where the police department, any police department, anywhere in America, has taken personal information obtained from a phone and used it to their advantage, where there's been an investigation or there's been a crime committed and it's gone in jail? That's like someone saying, I don't want to give you my personal information to get a mortgage.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I mean,
it's ridiculous. They're not going to go through his notes and his songs and steal his lyrics.
I have my partner's phone number on there. So
we don't even know you have a partner. We don't care.
Well, so what? What do you think the police are going to do? They're
going to call your
detectives are going to start calling everybody in your phone and say, "Hey, I got your number from Jussie. I just wanted to say hi."
Yeah, what's the guy? Terrence Howard. What's the name? The lead guy from Empire.
Yeah, Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Who also should be interacting with police more often, or less often, as the case may be. That guy's a bad dude. Yeah. Not a good person.
No, not a good person. I agree.
John in Palatine.
Hey, Dan and Amy. I was thinking about it from a practical perspective, and back to my time in grade school when you have to remember it was sub-zero weather, and when that happened, my mom would bundle me up, and I'd wear a Spider-Man mask, and I don't think a baseball cap could fit over a mask. And he's talking about plural, too. So did they actually have outfits, like two masks with two MAGA caps, and during the scuffle, all of this garb is still staying together? So it just sounds really weird. The police should investigate that.
All right, thanks for the call, John.
Well, they said this is MAGA country, but they weren't wearing MAGA hats.
Right. Yeah. Because they had ski masks on. That's why he couldn't identify the race, right?
Right. You couldn't tell their eye color either. Whatever.
David in McCook. Hey, David.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day, guys.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Would you be my Valentine?
Thank you. Hey, this guy should win an Academy Award, and I'm not talking about his role on Empire. What a liar.
Okay.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560.